Hello and welcome to the Gnomecast. My name's Tarmack and this is Warp by Trapdoor. I saw this one on the Steam new releases. Figured I love indie games, so let's give it a try. Screenshots look pretty clever, some neat game mechanics, and a very, cutesy sort of main character. So I downloaded it, installed it, and went to run it for the first time. Steam pops up saying, here, you want to copy this key to your clipboard because you're going to need it later on. Usually that's for some kind of an online component in the game. I thought it was a single player, but, well, whatever. So I run it, and up pops Origin. I have to authenticate this Steam game with Origin and able to play it. I thought, well, that's kind of odd. So I went back and I took a look at the Warp page on Steam, and it says that it's been published by Electronic Arts. This is just a little bit of a tip to Trapdoor. The people that buy your game are going to feel very misled if they're looking for indie games, and your game says it's an indie game in the new releases. People want to jump on that, they want to support those indie developers and get behind that good stuff, and it turns out that it's been published by a major publisher like Electronic Arts. You have misled your customers. That is unacceptable, period. You should probably get that part changed on the Steam listing, as far as I'm concerned. Regardless of all of that, hopefully we've got ourselves a good experience. There you see that we've got ourselves the logged out part coming from Origin. So I'm hoping that this is going to make up for a little bit of misleading. If it's a great game, I mean, it's still a great game. There's nothing that you can really do to argue that, but you can still give them a bit of a hard time when they're going to be a little bit underhanded.
What do you got down there?
Incredible.
I've got to say, I love the noises that they make. So the premise behind this one appears to be that there's some sort of an alien crash landing, is the only thing I can assume. And you've been discovered by military science sort of organization. You're put into an underground, or underwater rather, testing facility where they're going to run a bunch of experiments on you. So here we've got the industrial dentist office with their great big dentistry drill making the same damn noises most of humanity hates.
Excellent. We need another specimen.
Just some kind of surgery, I guess. So they pull a chunk off of him. Now the little thing there saying hold down to skip is actually a really good feature if you don't want to sit through these sorts of things again. And I'm not going to bother. You just hold it down, little bar goes across, and you're on to the next stage. Or the next piece of gameplay.
Doesn't seem to have fully recovered from our earlier experiments. Will you stay to observe?
You handle it from here. Let me know if you learn anything interesting.
Alright, so we've got our basic movement. You're using your arrow keys for this stuff. And these are your tutorial levels. Just making sure that you can actually move about. So that opens the door. Alright, so we get this ball over here on the little platform. And it... oh, come on, come on. Ugh. I do not like arrow controls. But whatever. Get a little bit of exercise on the treadmill. And you pick up a grub. The grubs are used a little bit later on when you start to get some upgrades to your abilities. Things like moving faster, stealth, those sorts of deals. Yeah, apparently the mouth is on the top. Great stuff. And now we play a little bit of Simon Says. Although, to be honest with you, I could have done with maybe a little bit less I don't think we really need to have this many uses of the Simon Says mechanic. Oh, I had an extra note, but it let me through anyways. Alright, so that little piece there with the question mark, that's the piece that they had taken off of the character in the dentist chair. I kind of like this idea for the maze, the way that the walls come up and go down, so you can't really look at the whole thing as a simple picture, right? Deciding where you want to go in advance. You kind of have to explore a little bit to get to it.
Well, well, well.
Alright, time to freak out the scientists. And now our little alien critter is a badass. Oh, they blocked me in. So, C button is a warp. You can only warp through walls that are thin enough. Alright, so I can't go out that side. Go over here and get our grub, so we can do some upgrades later on. Keep on moving. Oh no, they're closing the doors on us. Unacceptable. I don't want to go up there. Those guys have guns. Now, little bit of a buggy bit here, and I've got to say, you know, when a major publisher's involved, you probably should make sure that the game has the fewest number of bugs possible. So far, I've run into a couple of physics issues, things where explosions would knock different objects around and you'd end up in kind of a weird place. But the warp mechanic does let you get around that. So things like this where you can run around and stick your head through walls just looks bad. But the warp mechanic does give you a bit of a feeling of power. Alright, so we can warp into objects that are similar in size or mass. And then you can also just sit there and hide. Our checkpoint. So your usual WASD keys let you move the camera around without moving the critter, whereas your arrow keys are actually what you're moving the critter with. Nice little tutorial bit where the rat gets busted up. And you can start to see, when you take a look at the warp page, it asks you for your birthday. Which, when you've got a cute little character like this, you're not really expecting that kind of a reason. I mean, the blood from the rat is a good indicator, and it gets worse. So that's why they're looking for your birthday. They want to make sure you're old enough to deal with the blood. And by sticking to the barrels, we can stay out of... Oh! Look at that. That was not paying attention at all. So while you're sticking into the barrels, you're going to be able to stay hidden. Just made it by that one. It was a little too close for comfort. Alright, on we go. Do a little bit of barrel hopping across these crane bits here. I like how there seems to be a lot going on. We've got the guy moving around the background, we've got these cranes going around. Soldiers like that. Oh, we're gonna have to get out on this side. Excellent. There's a fair amount of attention to detail, a lot of the background objects, and it looks good. It's a pretty looking game. Now these are challenges. So periodically throughout the levels, you'll find a challenge item that you can warp into, and it gives you a different task. So in this case, we got to get to the end as quick as possible. And the quicker that you get there, the more grubs that you're going to get. Oh. No luck. Let's try that again. And again, as I said, the grubs are all about the upgrades later on. Got to have some kind of an upgrade system. I am not moving fast enough to get anything. Oh, bronze. Fair enough. So I'm 5.5 seconds too slow for silver. 6.5 seconds too slow for gold. Unacceptable. But whatever, we'll move on. Alright, so on we go, and... I've always wanted to travel in a tube. I don't know, maybe just something from some different movies that I've seen. I just think it'd be great. Alright, on down here. There's something up ahead that should help me navigate. Now, once you're inside an object, if you move back and forth a whole bunch really quick, you can blow the thing up. So, we need... Oh, I can't get to that one. And you can jump into the guns. And again, same thing, you can blow them up. And this is where it gets... This is where the whole age thing really comes into play. Of course, there's language, too, which is great. Cutesy game, vicious language. And ridiculous amounts of gore. This is fantastic. So now... Where are we going? Oh, oh! Out of the way. So you can do it while they're dead. You can jump into them while they're alive. The warping is just fantastic. So far, I'm quite enjoying the game. I think that it really does make up for the whole indie versus major publisher thing that I was commenting on in the beginning, but that is a really underhanded way of doing some marketing. There's goodwill that's given towards indie games. There's a lot of goodwill and maybe a little bit lower expectations because we know that the budgets are just not there, the same as the major deals are. So to use that goodwill to try and market a game as an indie title when you've got a major publisher behind you. Granted, it's not going to be millions of dollars that they're given, but there's going to be something there. It's just not, it's not right. It shouldn't be done. This has been Warp, done by Trapdoor. You can find it up on Steam, and of course Origin, as you'll find out when you try to install it on Steam. My name's Tarmack, and this has been the Gnomecast. Cheers.